Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Good.
Good, good, good. Awesome. I'm so happy that you were able to take a few minutes to be here with me today for our Five People, 5 Conversation series. So thanks so much because I know you're busy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, of course. So, Rockland. So tell us a little bit about yourself, real quick, and then we'll get into the questions.
Okay, well, my name is Rockland Page. I am the owner of ROCKaBLOCK, which is a company where I design and make inspiring T-shirts and accessories for inspired people. And I've been in business officially for 4 years this month.
Yeah, awesome. And I mean, you've been doing it for 4 years, but I mean, you just started like your storefront recently, right?
Yeah, this past March. So I started initially as an online retailer. I just did everything out of the basement of my house, and then things really blew up in a good way over the course of the pandemic. And it got
Yeah.
to the point to where I needed a bigger space of work than my basement. So in March, I decided to make the decision to take operations out of my house and into a storefront in Maryville, Indiana.
Awesome, awesome. Was that hard for you originally, like to make that decision?
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, it's still terrifying at times. We've all heard the whole thing that retail is dying, brick and mortar stores are dying, and the
yeah,
last thing I thought I wanted to do was open up a shop. But it just made more sense if I wanted to grow and be taken seriously as a brand and as a company. I needed to move operations out of my house.
yeah,
So I made the decision. It was tough. I questioned if I'd be able to, afford my rent, for the store, still pay my mortgage. Would I be able to balance everything? But I just came to the decision that if there's no risk, there's no reward.
true. Very true. Very true. Very, very true. Thanks for sharing that. So my first question for you is what's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career? Because like you said, you've been doing this in particular for 4 years. And I'm sure you had a lot of trial and error. So what's something that you wish you would have known when you first started?
Oh, there's so many things I wish I had known. I think I probably would have focused more on the business side of things if I knew I was going to go into business for myself. Just learning how to run a business versus just say doing freelance work or gigs, but
Yeah.
actually learn what it takes to manage a company, manage people, manage money. Before I was just doing quick one-off jobs or a short contract here, a short contract there. So I just really wish I just learned more business aspects of the whole design industry, fashion industry, clothing industry.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, and it's really interesting too because, especially being an artist like yourself, when you're an artist, you really have a lot of passion, right? So a lot of times that passion really fuels you. So I think that's good that you talked about, knowing that other part of it too, and not just the fun creative part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's been a learning experience. It's been terrifying. It's been fun. It's been exciting. But then every time there's a victory, there's another challenge that that awaits me. It's like,
yeah.
oh, I gotta get a business license. Oh, I gotta pay taxes. Oh, I have to, shake the right hands and meet the right
Yeah.
people to know what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, it's really so interesting because especially like you said, if you don't have a lot of those mentors before you or people that's kind of like there right next to you, kind of helping you know which direction to go, it is crazy because I know even for myself, it's a lot of stuff that I like literally just don't know, right? I have no clue that it's even something that I'm supposed to know. And then it's like I get this letter and it's like, oh, you were supposed to do this. And it's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
okay. And so I'm the kind of person that just kind of try to takes chances and says, you know what, I'm gonna go for this. I'm gonna jump. And along the way, you definitely learn a lot.
you do.
That is for sure.
Trial by
So
fire.
it really is, and when you're passionate about something, you just like, hey, I'm doing this, and I'm also a person that will ask a lot of questions. So when I know I don't have a clue, I'm going to try to seek out people that's already kind of done that to see if they'll help. But it's so surprising how many people won't help. It's like really weird. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
some people will keep the information to themselves, like they're the only person that's doing it. Have you experienced that?
Not really. Surprisingly, a lot of people have been really helpful
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and I try to be helpful to people too when they come and ask for advice. But I think you have to probably away from your question, but you have to learn where to draw the
Oh,
line.
yeah,
Because you want to help everybody, but then you can't help everybody. Because if
yeah.
you let some folks do it, they will just suck all the information and time from you, and then you're just kind of left, holding the bag, so to speak. So I think
No, that's
you do have to be protective of who you share information with,
yeah, yeah,
um, or even just who you invest your time into. Because there's some people that think, oh, they can just become a shirt mogul overnight, and they think ROCKaBLOCK just happened overnight, and they think I can just spend hours and hours with them. And
yeah.
sometimes I do. I don't even realize the time has gone by, but then I just say, "Wait a second. Are you even serious about this?
Yeah,
Are you willing to sacrifice the time and the money that it takes to run a business, whether it's shirts or baking cupcakes or making hair care products? Are you willing to
yeah,
make those sacrifices to make your dream happen?"
yeah,
And so I
yeah,
think people have seen that in me, and they want to help out, or they want to give some wisdom to me, or they know that
yeah.
I'm not just trying to waste their time to actually see I'm doing something with what they told me.
Exactly, exactly, and I agree with that. I will say probably 90% of the time, I've had people that are like totally want to sew into me. It's that little bit of 10% where every once in a while it's like the person is a little apprehensive of sharing information, and I don't really press it. I'm just like, okay, I'll go to the next person. But yeah, 90%, probably 95% of the time, people have been truly very giving in regards to helping. And I think it goes back to what you said, that people see like she's for real about this. She's not playing. So it's something that people want to really help with. So, well, with that said, do you have one person who impacted you in a major way?
There's been a lot of people,
Yeah.
but I think a story I share a lot is of my grandfather.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I hadn't seen, he died when I was pretty young, and I think last time I saw him was probably when I was about 3 or 4 years old. But
Okay.
I'd always been told stories about him, how
Mm.
he was a self-taught artist. Even though he didn't have much of an education, didn't go past the third grade, he could draw and paint anything you put in front of
Oh, wow. Okay.
him. And I felt like, just my love of art, my love of design, has just been a piece of him that has been carried with me throughout my whole life.
Yeah.
My father, he did sculpture. His sisters, my aunts, they used to draw and paint. But as far as I know, I'm the only one in the Page family that has taken this to a professional level and decided to make a
Really?
full time living
Okay.
off of it. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. So you have a legacy of artists and creators. Sounds
yeah, I
like.
do. And I feel like it's my duty to take this gift and do something with it.
No, I love that. And that makes, I mean, that's definitely a different appeal to what you're doing, and definitely a different twist because having that legacy. And again, people do stuff because out of passion and it's just something that they love to do. But you took it, you said, okay, I'm going to take what you kind of left with me, and I'm going to take it one step further. And I think it's almost like a
Yeah,
due diligence, right? Where
it
it's like
is.
I really want to do this for my legacy.
It is. And there are some families, who leave behind financial wealth, leave
Yeah,
behind assets and things. And in the Black community, we don't have a lot of that.
yeah,
We
yeah,
don't. But we
yeah.
pass on different traditions. Whether it's learning how to make Big Mama's mac and cheese, or
Yes,
greens or whatever.
yes,
And I feel like this is my gift. This is
yeah,
what my grandfather and those before him passed down to me, whether he knew it or not.
yeah,
That
yeah,
his gift resides in me.
yeah,
So I mean, and I honestly can't picture myself doing anything else. I can't picture
yeah.
myself. Actually, I just left a corporate job a month
Mhm.
ago yesterday, and I was miserable there. I
Yeah,
was doing graphic design, but it wasn't the type of artwork that really spoke to my soul. It was very corporate, very rigid, very
yeah,
boring.
yeah.
And before that, I worked for newspapers, magazines, and saw myself on a national scale and even all over the city of Chicago. But at the
Oh,
end of the day, it just wasn't the story that I wanted to tell.
yeah,
And so I just had to come to a decision that if I want to grow as an artist, grow as an individual, and make a name for myself, I got to take this step of faith and just leave that work behind
yeah,
and
yeah,
really dig deep and see what gifts I have inside of me. So yeah, my
yeah,
grandfather was a big influence. My parents, my family, my wife and daughter, they've been
yeah,
a big reason why I do what I do.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I love all of what you just said. I mean, it's just so yeah, it's just a powerful thing to be true to yourself, really essentially is what I heard you say, is this idea that because I tried the corporate thing too, because everybody's like, that's a real job, and
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And I've always been more of a creator myself too. So it's like, okay, let me get this real job. And I did well in it, just like you said. Like I did well in the position. It was satisfying as in regards to flexibility and things of that nature, and that consistency of pay, right?
Yeah.
But I hated it. It was like gray walls, cubicles. It was
Oh yeah.
like you said, rigid. It just wasn't my thing. So I totally understand what you're saying in regards to that for sure.
So suck. And I really would be
Oh,
remiss if I forgot to mention my art teachers
oh yeah,
all
yeah,
through school,
yeah,
all the way from elementary school to college. I've had art teachers that believed in me.
yeah.
Um, One of them, mainly being my high school art teacher, Mr. Price. He
Mhm.
definitely took me under his wing and taught me um, just to love the craft. He just saw something in me, and he was just, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but he let me skip class and sit in his class to,
Oh wow.
yeah, to work on my art.
Yeah.
My middle school art teachers, Miss Schuessler, Miss Armstrong, they all saw something in me and believed in me, and would sign me up for weekend art classes at the local college.
Oh wow.
Um, put me in
Wow.
art competitions, where even in elementary school, you go in the hallway and see your artwork on the big, bulletin board. You feel
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
made it. So
Yeah.
those people definitely built into me a love of art and a desire to keep creating.
Yeah.
And when I realized I could make a living off of it, I was like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I want to do this? I mean, I'm not
Right.
rich by any means, but it's just to be able to go somewhere and see someone wearing one of my shirts,
Yeah.
or going down the street somewhere and seeing somebody reading a newspaper and I designed a cover for it,
Yeah.
or a magazine, and
Yeah.
just seeing those moments, I'm like, wow, I did that.
Oh
Not
my
everybody can
goodness,
say
I
they
missed
did
the
that.
opportunity. Yeah, I missed the
Yeah,
opportunity. I have some of your stuff. I should have wore it while we were doing it.
that's all right.
At
Forgive me.
Marine. No, yeah, I know. I
I
missed
think
that.
I think I play on for the both of us. So
Yeah, yeah, I definitely missed that opportunity. So, but yeah, you have some dope stuff. So I definitely
thank you.
encourage people to support your line. Um, what's one thing that you would tell your younger self?
Um, wow, I think believe in yourself.
Yeah.
That people do see you, because there's a lot of times. I mean, I was pretty quiet as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt invisible a lot of
Mm,
times. And so I think I would tell my younger self to just keep working. Don't be so shy, and to believe in yourself, because I've just lived in so much self doubt.
mm,
I grew up in the '80s and '90s,
yeah.
and and my parents didn't have much money,
Mm-hmm.
and while other kids were getting Jordans, I got Jordashes. So,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
and you look at these material things that people had, and you just felt like you didn't measure up because you didn't have these things that people
Yeah,
had.
yeah,
But then you see some of those people peaked in high school, and they're
and that's
not doing.
yes.
I mean, some of
Mhm,
them did. Some of them doing very well for themselves, but then some
mhm,
people just peaked, and that was it. And so I think I tell younger Rock to just keep believing in yourself, keep working hard, and save your money, invest in yourself, and don't
yeah,
get so caught up in the here and now
yeah,
that it's high school, it's middle school. This stuff at the end of the day doesn't matter.
it really doesn't.
And at the time, I mean, that's your whole world. Is all you know. You think, oh, so and so calls your name, or so and so talked about your shoes or your outfit. You think it's the end of the world, but it really
Mhm,
isn't. And
yeah,
that life is just temporary.
yeah,
So, I mean, but that stuff pushed me to be more comfortable with who I am. I'd say definitely be comfortable with yourself, because a lot of times I grew up in the inner city, I grew up in the hood, and I wasn't hood enough for a lot of folks.
yeah, yeah,
I used to get
yeah,
teased about the way I spoke or the way I
mhm,
dressed,
mhm,
and I wasn't a thug, and and so it wasn't until I got to maybe later in high school and college that I said, you know what, I'm actually pretty cool.
yeah, and I'm okay with who I am.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm okay with who I am. I don't have to, act this way or talk that way to fit in.
yeah,
Maybe that just wasn't my crowd.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so, and the world is much bigger. I grew up in Indianapolis. I mean, the world is much bigger than Indianapolis, Indiana, or the
for
east side of
sure.
Indianapolis or the west side.
Yeah,
And whatever standards that your friends or neighbors had, you don't have to abide by those rules.
yeah,
I can, like, Rockland page. You can pave your own way.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and you have. and
Yeah, I
you've
have.
done it, and you get to leave that legacy to your daughter and show her that as well. And it's so interesting too, when you spoke about believing in yourself. It's so interesting because I always speak to especially creatives that people along the way saw that light in you. They saw it, right?
Yeah,
But no matter how much they saw it, until you see it and until you receive it and accept it and embrace it, it just is what it is, right?
it
So I mean, I
is.
think that's a really beautiful thing to remind people that you have to believe in who you are and what you have to bring to the world for sure.
You do, and it's a lifelong struggle, even as an adult. You
Oh, of
know,
course. I tell kids
yeah,
all the time, don't think we have it all together because we don't.
we don't. And I have to remind myself, even going on Instagram or Facebook, if I post something, I get 2 or 3 reactions, and then
Yeah.
somebody posts a picture of a piece of toast, it gets like 3,000 likes. I'm like, what in the
Yes,
world is going on here?
in the world.
I,
I
I just
know.
I just poured my soul out on this T-shirt design or whatever, and I get
Yeah.
0 reactions. And you got to realize, it's algorithms, it's filters, it's all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not me, because I have people at the end of the day to come say, "Oh man, I saw that thing you posted the other day." Even though they might not have reacted to it, they saw it and they
People
remembered it.
are definitely watching. Always remember that. People are definitely watching, even if they don't take the time to respond. So you
They
cannot
are. So
definitely hang up on
so I
that.
constantly have to remind myself of that. I'm still
Yeah.
talking to 40-year-old Rock when would talk to a 13-year-old Rock. Like,
Yeah.
dude, suck it up. It's not real. Those are
Yeah.
just numbers on screen. Those clicks don't really represent how people feel about you.
For sure. For
So
sure. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you for taking the time to be here. I definitely will share your information so people can support you. And even though you are in Indiana, they can support you online. So,
they can.
small business, when we talk about small business,
Yeah.
support small business,
Please
even,
do.
yes, yes. And you have some dope items and, really inspirational type things. So I really encourage people to support what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming, and I'll
All right,
talk
thanks for
to
having
you
me.
later. Oh,
Take care.
of course, yeah. And like I said, I'll share your website and everything else when it airs. So,
All right, thank you.
all right, take care.
All right, take care. Bye bye.